Hi, everyone. This is LaVon McMillan, founder and CEO of Advocate for Me, LLC in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we have, oh, I got another dad, y'all. Got another dad coming to the show. He will make dad number 3. And so we have our guest tonight for Dad's Corner is Robert Selby. And we are so happy to have him today. So I briefly on social media, on Instagram, saw a picture with the dad and his son, and the caption was saying that the dad glued a G tube to his stomach so his son wouldn't feel alone. And I just bust out in tears because I'm a parent of a child that has a G tube, and my son felt like he was alone for a long, long time until he went to a workshop at CHOP and saw all the other kids walking around with their poles and their feeding bags. And he was like, Mom, I'm not alone. So when I saw this post on Instagram, I just started crying. So I reached out and said, Hi, I'm a parent of a child with a G2, and I've been following him ever since. So I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell his story about him and his son named Chance. And they have such an amazing story, and they are doing such amazing things. So welcome to the show, Robert.
Thank you, Levon. Thank you for having me. Thank you for reaching out. I'm glad that you did. Yes, I am a father of a wonderful, energetic, entertaining, son. He's my prince. I'm trying to mold into a king. And, all I do is just highlight his life, the life of Chase Elijah, and I just highlight his life, everything that he's been through throughout his life with multiple heart surgeries and feeding tube. And I just try to bring awareness to his cause, but also other people out there in the world, their conditions and stuff, and just highlight their communities and just show a little bit of love and stuff like that. Cause we all, need it from time to time, and we always feel like we are alone when we are not. So just trying to, bring more awareness to other communities, also my son. So again, thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for accepting the invitation. So I know you just talked about Chance had multiple surgeries. So can you just share what his diagnosis was and then what took place with the surgery?
Yes, so he has what is called tetrahydrophilo, and it's a complex heart defect, and it's like a four it's like a four condition heart defect that's roughly deals with your overriding or I'm sorry, your right ventricular, then you got your VSD, then your overriding artery, and more stuff or whatever. And roughly all that boils down to is just that your blood is entering and leaving and it's mixing up, and it's hard for you to like breathe, get energy, and stuff like that or whatever. And they call it the blue baby because it actually, you look blue. Like your lips turn blue, you turn pale because your body isn't getting the proper oxygen that it's supposed to get, and your heart is working 3 to 4 times more than what it's supposed to be. So as you notice, like when you run, your heart is beating really, your heart is beating real fast and you get tired. But just imagine when you're waking on up and your heart is beating really fast and you're tired and you didn't do nothing besides just wake on up, or you started walking and your heart beat really fast and you get tired and stuff like that. So yeah, he was born with a rare heart condition called tetrahydrophilo, and it affects 1 in 100 kids a year, babies, and it's roughly like 40 to 50,000 babies a year that it does affect. Some of it get misdiagnosed, some of it get overlooked. Sometimes you catch it at the right time. And just what happened with our story is my son was leaving the hospital when he was born, getting discharged, and one of the nurses that came in for a shift change, she wound up doing her checkup just to make sure everything good from the last nurse or whatever, and she heard a strong murmur, and she asked us like, "Hey, is it okay? We do this test because roughly kids do have murmurs, some severe, some not, but just want to cross all my T's and dot all my I's before we let you go." I said, "Sure." And when we came back, she just told us that he had these conditions, and from there, past 3, 4 years were a little bit rocky with a bunch of setbacks in life, but he's healthy and better now.
Awesome, awesome. Glad to hear. I'm glad she did, when she did that switch change, she actually did her job and she was making sure that everything was taken care of with Chance. So that was a blessing in disguise right
Yes,
there.
it was.
So, so with the feeding tube, it was that just because of heart conditions, or did he need that for like a different purpose?
Well, it's all kind of runs into runs into each other. So when he had his first heart surgery, the doctor said that they wanted him to be at least 10 pounds or at least 10 months before they, operate on him. But he only lasted like 2 weeks out of the hospital, to where I had to rush him to Children's Hospital in DC to get his first surgery. And once he got his first surgery, they wanted him to roughly be in the hospital for like a couple of days, then the 6 to 8 weeks recovery at home. But everything they always said that supposed to go right went wrong. Like, he only supposed to been in the hospital, a few days. He was in there for a few months. He only supposed to have one heart surgery. He wound up having two, and then he wound up having the feeding tube because as a baby, I did not know because I'm a new parent. I thought a kid born with all these type of instincts and stuff like that, and I just thought like, once you put a pacifier in the mouth, they automatic, suck on them pacifier or to suck on the bottle and stuff, not knowing that you actually gotta teach and train your child to suckle. And he just
Mm-hmm.
never actually like latched on at all to his mother or to a bottle or anything like that. So they was like, well, the only way he could, be released from the hospital, he had to get some type of NG tube or a feeding tube or NGJ tube or something like that to help him with the supplements to get him inside his body to get weight up on him. And as a baby, like I said, he was in the hospital so long, they had him up to the IV for a couple of months, to where he was just like, you know what, I'm chilling. Like, why do I need to work, work for this milk when I can just sit
Mm-hmm.
back and get fed? I'm good. So
Come right through,
yeah,
yeah.
I got the good life, man. Y'all trying to make me work. So yeah, so that's why you
Hmm.
got the feeding tube.
Okay. Yes. Similar story with my son. My son was born 28 weeks premature. Um, and he stayed in the NICU for 101 days. He would have came home on the 99th day, but he was coming home with a Brady monitor, and as soon as they like took the monitor, like right before they was about to take the monitor off to discharge us to come home, it started going off. And they was like, oh, wait, we can't send him home yet. We don't want to send him home, and something happened. So he had to stay there extra 2 days. So everyone in the NICU was teasing him because they was like, well, we've had a child here for 100 days, but we never had a child here for 101 days. So he broke the record,
Oh,
staying
right.
an extra 2 days. But he came home with the Brady monitor, and his story was that he he was failure to thrive, so he had to drink Pediasure, and he had the specialty where they had it mailed to the house, and then he would drink that for like 2 years, and then one day he just threw the bottle across the room and he wasn't drinking no more, and he was like losing weight like really really fast. And the doctors had told me about the feeding tube before, but I kept saying no, I don't want him to do it. What else can we do, what else can we do? And they were talking about steroids, and like the first 5 years, we was like in and out of CHOP in Philadelphia, so we practically lived there. And they finally said that like he needs it. If he doesn't get it, then he's gonna have to be hospitalized. So I said okay, and we did the NG tube, which is the nasal one.
Right.
We did that for almost 3 years, and I didn't know you was only supposed to do it for
Mm,
two.
mm.
And the doctor was like, "You were supposed to been switched." So we switched, and then he went to the G tube. And he still currently has it now. Now, due to COVID, he gained like a lot of weight. I guess because we're in the house and we're not moving too much. So now we're talking about kind of decreasing his feeds. But he prior to that, if you've seen him, he's currently in the 8th grade now. But if you've seen him before all this 2020, you would think he was like in the sixth grade. So like all his friends would be like taller than him, hovering over him. Like every time he lined up, he was always in the front. So I know they're gonna get a shock when they finally go back to school to see how big he got. But he's a trooper. Like he just been through so much. And similar to Chace, like just they both like I just look at like your Instagram and think about my son and be like, they're just miracle babies. Like they've been through so much, but they always have a smile on their
Right.
face. So can you share with me like how Chance um like relates to his diagnosis and his awareness and how you've like incorporated the community and like I'm just looking at your bio here, like you've been on Inside Edition, Good Morning Washington, Good Morning America, the Today Show, like you've been all over spreading it, and I'm just so glad that you took on that purpose and that you're moving forward with it. But how has Chance kind of like dealt with everything?
Oh well, my son. One thing I have had done for him, as far as his health condition is, I never highlighted to him as like a condition, like he got something bad or something that's wrong with him, because I don't want him to rely on that in life moving forward, to where, oh, I got a heart condition, this stopped me from doing this, or this stopped me from doing that, or I got a G tube, I can't do this, can't do that. To him, it's no boundaries, it's no limits, it's nothing he can't conquer, or at least try to, or whatever. Like as a parent, I know, like, okay, you know what, you can't do this, but normally it's hands off. I don't look at him like special need, because he is classified as that, but I don't try to label him
Mm-hmm.
as that. Like he's just my 7-year-old energetic, active kid. Sometimes he's a little bit too active, got a little bit too much energy for me, but I deal with it. I roll with the punches and stuff. But yeah, teaching him about his condition early on, it wasn't nothing like that. But the past like 2 years, I have been telling him, like, you have a heart condition, you got a zipper, this is what happened. So the story of, he went to the hospital when he was born, and how the nurse found his condition, and how he had multiple heart surgery and stuff like that. And also, as we are in the spotlight and we are on Inside Edition and Good Morning Washington and stuff like that, they are asking him questions too. So I just gotta let him make sure that he know what he gotta say, prepare, so he know about his condition and stuff like that, because he is like a little a spokesperson, a little advocate for the kids and the
Mm-hmm.
teenagers and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's been awesome. He's been taking it in stride. To him, he doesn't really have a condition. He has a G tube, but he doesn't let none of that roughly stop him from like conquering the world or anything.
Yeah, that sound like my son. Like when he had the NG tube, that one is noticeable to other people because it's a nasal G tube, so it's like a yellow tube that's going down his nostril, and then the other part of it is like taped to
Yeah.
his face. So when he used to walk around, like he got it when he was 5. So we would be at the playground, and I was pregnant with his younger sibling, his sister, and people would just look at him and they would, stare and point. And he, like I said, he had that too for like 3 years. So at school, he had like a sleepover. They had like a sleepover, and I had to stay because I had to give him a speed. So all the other parents dropped off their kids, and so I was like, I'll just chaperone, hang around with the kids, help out with the teachers, and then I'll give him his speed, and then he could do whatever he wanted to do with his friends. So his friends at school, they pretty much knew about his feeds, and they knew that he had nurse care that came to the school in the classroom to give him his feeds. So but he would never, like if somebody walked up to him and pointed to it and asked him what it was, he would just stand there and look at him. He wouldn't answer him. Whereas me as a parent, I'm like giving like his
Right.
whole, like, oh, he has a feeding condition. He's bugging. I'm like giving all his business. And he would just look at me like, Mom, just
Right.
be quiet. But just like talking about those no limits, like his first grade teacher, he was a new teacher, And on paper, it just said failure to thrive for Jordan. But then when Jordan walked in, he saw this NG tube and he was like,
Right.
oh no, like, I don't know what to do. I'm like,
Right.
you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just call me, text me
Mm.
911 if something happened. So there's one particular time the tube came out and he was calling me on my cell phone. He was like, I don't know what to do. It's hanging out. Like, I don't know. I was like, calm down. Jordan knows what to do. I was like, I'm on my way. But my son, but the funny thing is that the teacher that he had at that time was like, but Jordan doesn't stop for anything. Like, he plays football like the rest of these kids. He run around like the rest of these kids. He was like, he could run circles around these kids. He was like, I'm so amazed, like he could just do everything that all the other kids do. And I'm like, well, why
Right.
wouldn't he? Like, he just has a feeding tube. Like, why wouldn't he be able to do what they do? And I was, just like watching him grow and how he handled every situation. Like, one little girl at school thought he had cancer. I'm like, no, baby, he doesn't have cancer. He does have some things that's going on health wise, but he doesn't have cancer. And, just what every other person's opinion or impression is of your child, they have to deal with that also. And they don't, sometimes they don't talk about it. But for him, when he switched over from the NG tube to the G tube, everyone, like, till this day, some people still think that he doesn't have the tube anymore. And he has to tell them, like, I do, it's in my stomach. Because now it's not noticeable to everybody. But I realized with him, it was, once we switched over to the G tube, like, he had a different, like, I don't want to say a different personality, but he was able to be himself even more. Not that he wasn't before, but now nobody noticed anything else, about him. So he definitely, like, his personality changed where he felt more confident. Should I put it that way? No limits. They are like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I don't know a word, but no, I know the word because you got it right here in your title, warriors. Like, they are, like, they straight warriors, soldiers. Like, so my question to you is, because it's a couple things that you had on your bio that I was like, okay, like, what's going on with Chance and Robert? So tell us what's next for Chance and Robert and bringing their awareness
What's
to the
next for
world.
us? We have a few things next year. Honestly, I can't say because it's trying to speak a lot of these things into fruition. But it's a few ideas that a couple companies have reached out to us about and wanted to be a part of. So hopefully we could have that to where we just could shine, like I said again, shine more light on his condition and other conditions or other communities out there. But yes, like next year, do a little bit more guest speaking at certain events, for its healthcare stuff, health related stuff. Then we do a lot of stuff with um, children hospitals and other organizations that reach on out to us, to either partner with them or collaborate on some type of stuff. But yeah, like I said, the sky's the limit. My son, he acts and models, so that also takes up a lot of our time because he's just all over the place with a lot of things. So we have a few stuff that come down the pipeline for his side of things. But yeah, just trying to build our brand up, start our company from the ground on up, and just shine more light on all the other warriors out there in the world and stuff, other than just our condition, because it's a lot of warriors that I come across and people that would inbox me and DM me, and their situation is like way worse. So sometimes I can't even pronounce some of the stuff that they be saying their kid got. I gotta put it in my my Google my Google Translate. I'm like, what is this? And then it breaks your heart, just like you said when you met me and saw the things my son was going through and stuff like that. That how the story kind of impacted you, and you had this similar thing with your son. And when I be reading some of these stories that be coming to our page or DMs or emails, I'm just like, my mouth just be to the floor, and I'm like, wow, like y'all would think that you have it worse, but it's always somebody out there that even have even worse, and they might not have the resources or the network or the community as you do or whatever. So it's just wow, because even you said that your child, they let your child go home with the NG tube. They didn't do that at Children's Hospital in DC. It was not allowed because I think that previous year they let a woman go home with their child with an NG tube, and it came out. She tried to put it back in. Whatever happened, the baby wound up passing away. So just for lawsuit purposes, they don't let you go home with the NG tube. And if they do, you gotta have like a home nurse and all that stuff or whatever. But they don't play around with that. So a lot of people I talk to like, oh, I got a NG tube or NJG. I'm like, oh wow, let you go home with that. But again, different states and different things happen and stuff like that. But yeah, like I said, I just try to normalize his condition as much as possible to where nobody could really hurt him. Because it's cruel out here to where people they want to pick on you, and stuff like that, or the kids can be cruel, or they go, sometimes they can be curious, but you're not, you're still stuck in your shell the way you're not comfortable with it and stuff like that. So it can mess around with your psyche and stuff like that. But I just try to make it normal to him as his skin, his clothes, whatever he wear on. So now the only way that people know he got a condition is either somebody might hit it a little bit, or we just be a general conversation. And like, oh yeah, my son got this and that. What? And then when I explain it to him, they're like, oh my gosh, I did not know. Same thing like your story. And you gotta go through the whole nine and that, oh my gosh, I wouldn't know what to do. I would freak on out. Yeah, you would do all that at first, but that's your kid. So you'll buckle on down and learn all that stuff. Right now, you don't have to deal with it, so it might freak you on out. But it popped out a few times to around a couple of people that were they freaked out. But once I told them what you could do, now my son, he learns how to put it in himself now. It pop on out, he put it back in. When it's time to change it, I'm like, oh, it's time to change it. He'll get all his equipment, put it on there, and keep moving.
Yeah, I'm trying to train Jordan now how to do it. Like we recently just had to change it, and me and his nurse, for some reason, it wouldn't come out. Like we were trying, and both of us was too scared to pull it. And I was like, I'm gonna just take him to the hospital. Like I was like, and then when the lady did, when we got to the hospital, she just pulled it right on out and put the new one in. And I was like, but no water came out. And she was like, well, it's okay. And I could tell that he was in like a little bit of pain because he did jump like when she pulled it out. And that's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to cause no pain to him. But I will say, like the NG tube, that was an experience because at CHOP, they had us come in, and we had to, like I said, it was kind of like a serious, like we got to do this ASAP. So we had to go, and me and his dad, we had to go in, and we had to learn how to pretty much put it in. Like they didn't give us any nurse care. They was like, this, you're gonna have to be the one, to put it in and take it out. And that one you had to change like every 15 to 30 days. And then you had to be careful, like you were saying, because if you could put it down the wrong pipe, and instead of it going to his stomach, it would go like to his lungs, and it's just yeah, like you said, that it could cause a fatality where the child can actually die because you're filling up their lungs instead of their stomach with fluid. So that scared me because I don't like hospitals. I don't like blood. I don't like none of that stuff. Like that's why I never became a nurse. So you're about to tell me that I gotta put this into my son and give him the feed. So for like the first, he got it when he was like 4. I got pregnant with his sister when he was like 5. So pretty much the first year, it was okay. But then when I got pregnant, it was like different because now I gotta juggle a belly and juggle chasing you, trying to put this tube down your throat. And it was just like crazy. Like some days I would sit in the chair and just cry. Like, I can't do this. I need help. And I can't do it. And they were like, then I look at him, I'm like, look, I ain't got no choice but to do this because if I don't, then he's not going to get the nourishment that he needs. So I had to just buckle down and do it. But he would fight me. Like, it would literally be like a Mike Tyson match. He would not want me to put that tube down his throat. But I was like, and I'd start crying, like, I got to. If I don't do this, then you will go to the hospital. He didn't like the hospital by it because, like I said, the first 5 years, we pretty much stayed in there. So, he eventually, would give in. Or we had to wrap, they had taught us how to wrap him up in a blanket So he looked like a little burrito, and he couldn't move the way so he couldn't move as fast as he could, so we would get it in. But it was always a fight. And then the G tube, I think I'm more scared of the G tube
Right.
than I was the NG tube, only because I see what it looked like when it pop out. So that's why I normally take them in the shop for them to change it. I think I've only changed it once. It came out like Easter Sunday. We was at church and he was asleep and he just woke up and was like, "Mom, my tooth came out." So we had to leave church early. And then I was going to put it back in. So I don't know what I was thinking. Plus we had like sunrise service. So I had drove all the way back home. And you know, you got a certain amount of time before it start closing up. I drove all the way home to go get the kit. Couldn't find the kit. I said, "Oh, we got to go to the emergency room." Drove all the way back to the emergency room. And by then he had it was just about to start closing up. So they caught it in time. But I was like, I'll never do that again. I'll just take you straight to the emergency room because I was like, I just wasted so much time and I didn't want him to have to go through the procedure again. So, but I mean, it's, you know, stuff like that. You can laugh now, but when you're in the midst of it, you just like on 1,000. Like, you got so many, you know, things running in your head and what to do. But have you ever had like an experience like that with Chance where you just was going every which way trying to figure
I would
out?
say this roughly the exact same thing, and I always use the stop, drop, and roll analogy. Now, how long have you been hearing that when a fire happens, what are you supposed to stop, drop, and roll? But when a fire actually happens, you do everything but that. Like I'm talking about, you try to grab every little valuable item that you can think of. Like, oh, let me grab this, let me grab it. Make sure everybody's safe. Make sure you just run it all over the place or whatever. And almost the exact same thing happened to me, where they gave us a crash course, CPR certified. This pop out, this is what you need to do. And if it goes too long, if it close up, you can do all these things. I'm like, okay, cool. And one day he was like a baby. It just popped on out. And I freaked out. I'm talking about, I grabbed him. I didn't have the car seat. So I drove him. I had him in my arm. I had the seatbelt across me and him. I got it in one arm. I'm talking about, I'm in and out of traffic and stuff, flying in the highway. Go to the hospital. I called his mom, like, yo, we had to rush to the hospital because of this, because of that. The whole time she's like, "Why do you go to the hospital?" I'm like, "Because it popped out or whatever, and it's like about to close up." She's like, "Do you not know you could have done it yourself?" I'm like, "No, I could." She's like, "Yes, you could. Like, they told us how to do it. This is what you should do." I'm like, "Oh man." So roughly for me, from the time that it popped out and me driving from our apartment to the hospital, it roughly closed up. If I would just sucked all the air, deflated the balloon, reinflate, put it back in and reinflate it, it would have been, no problem or whatever. A little bit of pain with him or whatever, but as a baby, he could have, managed through it. But I just blanked out and freaked out. But now I always have like a spare with me. Like, it's in my car, anytime he's in our book bag or whatever. If he go with his grandma, I send him a spare with that and stuff like that. But yeah, that was a crazy moment. Then another time it did pop out, and for whatever reason he just panicked. And it goes to what you were saying about your son, that you didn't want to pull it out and it hurt him, whatever, because that emotionally scarred them. And it happened, every time we changed it as a baby, my son could remember, like, it hurts, to the point that he's 7 years old now, and he just started allowing us to, like, put it in, and he's not really tensed up or crying or really really scared. Then he does it himself. So again, it makes it a little bit better that he doing it for somebody else. But yeah, I remember one time it popped out and he would not let us put it back in. I'm like, "Hey, you don't like needles, so either we do it or we take it to the hospital." And he took it to the hospital. They're gonna do it. They will give you a needle, and I'd rather go to the hospital to get the needle. I'm like, wow, like, so it really shocked him or really scarred him. Then when he was in the hospital, well, he was fighting them. I got video. He was fighting and kicking and screaming. I'm like, as a parent, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to hold you down. All this, no, I don't want it in. I'm like, what? Like, but once he got it in, within like 2 minutes, like, okay, it's time to go home. I'm like, dude, we've been at the hospital for like 8 hours just waiting for this to put it back in. Like, it could have been, over with hours ago if you let me just do it at home. But we had to get in the car, strap you up, drive away 35, 40 minutes to this hospital. And we were there for hours. Like we didn't leave till almost like 3, 4 in the morning. And what happened? His hole closed up,
Oh,
so
wow.
they had to keep open it up, but slowly. So they put like a little tube in there, and then
Mm-hmm.
they let that sit in there for like 20 minutes, whatever. Then they put like a bigger tube in there to keep open up till it gets to his proper size feeding tube. But yeah, so I have a story for days with my son with this G tube popping out and he fighting us.
Yeah, and you know what? I've had other guests on here, but this is the first time I had a guest
Oh
that
yeah,
actually
yeah.
can share
Oh,
what
I
I've been
definitely know.
through with the YouTube and sizing it back so you can and I'm sitting here just
Hmm.
like, yeah, I remember
Right,
that time.
like you said, like
But
you,
it's so
you know, no,
cute.
like you said, like you
But no, go
train to do
ahead.
these things, but yeah, but you think that it never happened, and if it did happen, I get it done. And look at you, you done left church, went home, then went to the hospital and do all that.
Hmm. I was on the I was on the choir stand, and they like he just lifted up and
Oh, gotta
had the
go,
tube in
gotta
his
go feast.
hand. I'm like, oh no.
I know.
Yeah, I'm
You
like,
was
got to
singing and
go.
everything. Oh, gotta go, Lord. Catch you. I'll be back.
Yes, I was like, gotta go, gotta go. They're like, what's wrong? Like his tube that came out, and like pretty much everybody, I guess I done scared everybody, like family members, and because I'm like, if his tube ever come out, you gotta get
Right,
him to the hospital within a half an hour. If you're not getting him in the hospital in a half an hour, it's gonna start
right.
closing up, and then we're gonna have to be there forever. And so I think everybody was like scrambling, trying to find stuff. I'm like, look, somebody take the baby because I can't take her
Hmm.
with me. Like I'm like all over the place. And he laugh about that now. He be like, Mom, remember that time I was speaking at church? My too? I'm like, it's not funny. Like that was not
Right.
funny. I'm laughing
Mhm.
now, but it was not funny at the moment. But you mentioned Chance, like when he goes with his grandma, and you send a spare. How does the other relatives and caregivers um do, like, with his feeding tube? Like like were they ready to learn how to do the feeds and everything, or were they just like, I'm
Or
gonna
they
just
stay
stay over
far to the
here
left as
and you
possible.
you
They
got
they
it?
be hoping and praying that it doesn't fall out on their watch, and they will come out. I'm gonna freak out.
Hmm.
I'm like, you say all these things, but trust and believe, way easier than you expect or whatever. And my mom, and everybody as far as my siblings and stuff like that, they're like, no, no, no. Like my sister, she's a nurse, so she never dealt with a feeding tube like that. And I think it was like years ago. So I just had to give her like a little crash course. But other than that, I think it popped out one time, and she put it back in, and he was good to go. So that's why I always try to prepare him, because I'm like, not everybody wants to do it, wants to deal with it. Some people got weak stomachs and stuff like that, and they pop out. They see like a little hole and a little bit of blood gushing or a little bit of milk coming out or something like that. They freak out and they might pass out. So, and I'm like, it's not that serious, y'all. And so now that's why I say I try to, train him a little bit more. So when he are in those situations or whatever, he just go take care of himself and stuff like that. Not always had to go to the hospital because he don't, fare well with that. All he worried about is shots. Like as long as you don't get a shot, he's okay with the hospital. But just saying going to the hospital, he got like 20 questions. And the whole time it's like, so I'm gonna get a shot? No, you're not.
Hmm.
So when I see the doctor, he gonna give me a shot? No. So when I see the nurse, when she weigh me, am I gonna get a shot? No. Like everything is a shot, shot, shot. Then after we talk to the doctor, hey, everything good with you? Yeah, but it'd be better if I don't get a shot. And the doctor like, well, I don't, issue shots. I don't never get shots out. Oh, okay. But he don't believe me though. So
Then he friendly with the
right.
nurse until she come in there with that needle. So definitely. So two more things. So one, so I know you said that Chance is modeling and acting. So is that something that he wanted to do, or did it just get picked up from you guys, like sharing his awareness
It just
community?
try to make a long story short. So, and I'm a realistic, and I tell everybody this. Some people laugh, some people got their mouth wide open, but I always tell people like, everybody always say like, oh, you got a cute baby, your baby should, model, your baby should model and stuff like that. And it's better saying than doing. Like can you help me out? Who I need to talk to? Where I need to go? You just saying he could be a model. I don't know the first thing about it or whatever. So you hear it all throughout, his life or whatever, since he's been born, till recently or whatever. And I look at my son. He's just my son. He's cute. He's handsome. I just look at him as like a healthy kid, just making sure I can raise him the best way I can to a man, and just let him go out there and do his own thing or whatever and stuff like that. And again, like you just hear it so much that one time my son mom just texted me. She's like, "Yo, it's a casting call. You want to see if you could try to go for it?" I'm like, "Oh, is it free or you got to pay?" And she's like, "Oh, it's free." Okay, no problem then. So we can do that. That's my language. Well, right.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
some
that's
of
my
them they
language.
be
So we went
charging
out
you up.
there. I think he's like 3 years old. And he went out there, said his lines, didn't get the part or whatever. So that was that. And maybe like a year later, the same thing happened. It was like it was a casting call. We saw it, but again, we wasn't active or nothing like that. Um, I was still doing vlogging with him. Like I vlog his life from birth till now, and again, just put out on the platform. And so we had another opportunity, so we went on out there, and amongst from his age range, I want to say it was like 200 300 kids. It was a lot of kids out there, and out of that age range, he beat
Wow.
out a couple of kids. He got into like the top 50, and he was at 4 years old at this time. And the guy was like, I just love his he's energetic, his charisma, like his whole aura, like when you're around him, he just lights you up or whatever and stuff. And I'm like, that's just my kid. I don't like to brag about it because he's my kid, but when he's around people, it's like he's the center of attention. He don't try to be just like the things that come out of kids' mouths. And an 8 year old that say the darnest thing, he's like, what? And and of course adults just eat it on up, and
Mhm.
a kid be like, no, I'm dead serious. But and that's just how it came
Right?
to be or whatever. So like, okay, I'm gonna try to take it a little bit more serious. Then right after that, 2017, we went viral for what you was stating earlier about, we glued a G tube on my stomach. We went viral off of that. Then the rest was just history. We got with a great agency, and we just started, working to perfect his craft and stuff like that. With modeling and acting. Now he loves it. He got a vlogging camera now, so he vlogs himself all day, every day, talks into the camera just like I talk into the camera and stuff like that. We do all type of commercials and skits and stuff like that. So it's been wonderful. He loves it to death. He's into soccer. He's in the UFC, boxing, jujitsu, taekwondo, wrestling. He's into all that stuff. Besides football contact, we don't really try to do too much, but we just got him into the UFC type of thing because he was small. He was really, really short and stuff like that. So we didn't want anybody to bully him and pick on him or whatever. So more for self-defense. But yeah, so that's how he roughly got into the
Mhm.
modeling. Like he beat out a bunch of kids. Then I actually added the 50 kids. He went down to the 20. Then out of 20, he wound up being like the 70 they picked or whatever. He was the only 4 year old that they picked. And then again, it was just him being him or whatever, and it just opened up the doors, and we just started running through it. So we got invited to, like I said, Inside Edition to tell our story about us going viral with the feeding tube and stuff like that. And I just did that to have a tradition that we do every year, and then also to bring awareness for feeding tube awareness and congenital heart defect. But so he could look back and just see his growth from when he was born. I did it all the way until he's 7 years old. We do it every year. And you could see how how much he had grown, how taller he got, just change and stuff like that. So it's like a tradition that we do every year.
Okay. So I'm gonna tease you.
Oh no,
You
no, no,
still
no!
got the tubes
It's only
glued
for
to
this.
you?
Yeah, it's only for the
No, I'm
gram.
only
So I
messing
just
with
little yeah, little dapper glue. Take the
over
picture,
the
take it right on
girl.
off. For the gram.
Thinking of when my youngest, she saw it, and because she was wondering why I was crying when I had saw y'all picture, and she's like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, "Look what the dad did with the tube and the stove," and so she was like, "Is it gonna come off of him?" And I was like, and she was
Right.
like, glue be sticking, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't see an after picture, but I guess it will come up eventually. But yeah, because like I said, I got emotional when I saw that picture, just because you was like, you was
Cause that's
doing it so he wouldn't feel like he was alone. And so I
yeah,
thought that was just like so powerful
and
when I saw that. So yeah, so I yeah, she was like, "What you crying?" Because she like a little, she got her own little soul going on. She like grandma, auntie, all rolled up in one. So I definitely can understand when you
right,
were saying like he just has that aura about him, and people recognize
and
it. I definitely understand that. So it sounds like you guys are doing some amazing things. I can't wait to see and finish following y'all on the gram and what's coming up. Because I saw him, I think it was a couple days ago when y'all was, I think he was getting makeup or something done. And I was like, what he about to do? And
yeah,
I was like, oh, okay, Shan, okay. And I was like, oh, wow. So, yeah, so definitely I'm excited for y'all. And again, like, thank you for taking that, and making that your purpose. Like our kids, they do some powerful things. Like we don't know, like we may know what our purpose is, but until they come into our life, then they may change and we make a whole nother U-turn and start doing other things that we kind of knew about before, but now we like full force with it because we see
right,
that our community definitely needs to know what's going on. And one thing is not to be scared of it. Like we're educating you so that you can um, move forward and learn, and then let the next one in. Because I know at my son's school, he was the first kid there with a feeding tube, and like when he got to the 6th grade, I picked him up from school because he had early dismissal to go to the doctor, and this little boy walked past me. And he was little, just like my son was. Like it was like a flashback. And I looked, and my mom was like, "Yo, mom, look, he got feeding tube too." And I was like, "What?" And then the little boy turned around and he smiled, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was like, "Look,
right,
you opened up the door for all the other kids to come in." And he was like, I talk to him every day. He was like, I go up to him and be like, "You all right, buddy?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, because my son was so little when he got there.
right,
Like he looked like he should have been in pre-K instead of going in the 1st grade. And so everybody just, they just loved up on him because he was so little. But I'm like, oh wow. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, like you opened the door for another child to come in and feel comfortable in that setting. Because I know when he went in, the
hmm,
principal, she didn't know what to do, and like I said, on paper it just said failure to thrive. So they didn't know he was coming in with, this NG tube. And by then he didn't have nurse care then. So I had to like make it where I had to give him his feed before he left for school. But I was like going back and forth with the insurance company of making sure that he can get nurse care at the school. And then they finally said yes to that, but I was still doing the overnight feed. So I tease everybody and tell them like I didn't get any sleep until my son was 10. Like for 5 years, from 5 to 10, I didn't get any sleep because I had to give him his feed overnight. I had to make sure like it would beep at 3 in the morning, so I had to make sure I was up and flushing it and doing everything else. And then when me and their dad separated, then I was like, look, y'all gonna have to find somebody to help me out. And then that's when the insurance company was like, oh yeah, she needs some help. So they finally sent me a nurse, and she's been with us the last 3 years. So it's definitely been a blessing. I think the first night she came, I actually slept the entire night. Like she was like, you was in there snoring and everything. I was like,
yeah,
because I finally had
right,
somebody else to take care of him, and I felt comfortable with it. Like I wasn't scared, I wasn't nervous. I knew he was in good hands, and I was like, and I actually got some sleep. And then she was like, wow. I was like, really, I haven't slept for 5 years between having his sister and doing his feed. Like I probably didn't sleep for like 2 weeks when I had her and him. So I definitely want to make sure that we get the awareness out. Like that's why I started the business advocate for me, was just
right,
offering resources, advocacy, and training to families who have children with special needs. And like you were saying, our children are under that category, because I say both things. I say special needs and special health care needs
right.
because they kind of fall under both of them because of the services that they need based on, their disability or their condition. Like my son, we just had a conversation. I think when he was like 11 or 12, and I said something about disability to him. He was like, "I'm disabled," and I was like, "No, yeah, like." Kind of sort of like, and then I had to sit down and explain it to him. He was like, "Nobody ever told me I was disabled." I'm like, "No, like because you have a G tube, like you need help with feeding and nutrients." And I was like, and it falls under that. And he was like, "Oh, okay," because he was like, "Because I don't need like a wheelchair or a walk." I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
like, but it's all under." Like, it was a long conversation, but he had like 50 million questions. Yeah, like he was like, "What you just say?" And I was like, "Wow, yeah, like all this time." You didn't know, but now he knows. And like I said, like you said, with Chance, you're trying to teach him how to change the tube. I'm doing the same thing with Jordan, trying to make sure he understands the importance of it. And Jordan was also in karate and stuff, so I was the one that was scared, because I thought in karate they was just like gonna kick the tube out.
Cover it up.
So I got him that little belt to cover it. And one of the kids, one of the kids had kicked it, and he hurt his toe. The instructor didn't know Jordan had it on. He was like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh, see, right, he got a G2, and I didn't want none of the kids to kick it out." He was like, "You should have told me. I would have had the kids kick a little lighter." I was like, "Oh no, you fine." He was taking it. He was taking it. You're fine. But yeah, definitely thank you for coming on. So two things. One, if you can share with the audience, anything from your heart, what you want them to know. And then the second thing is if you can share with them how they can contact you. I already know you on the gram, so I follow you on the gram, but they might not know. So how they can contact you and reach out to you and Chance and hear more about your awareness that you're bringing to CHD.
Again, appreciate you having me. But I wanted to piggyback off something you were saying about the G tube. It is crazy that people, when they see it, they thought that I either had a surgery or like actually put it inside myself, or they thought like I used like a whole big thing of crazy glue and stuck it on me, and like, how you get it off? I'm like, it wasn't nothing but like a little dot or a dab. You probably couldn't even see the little bit of glue I put on there, because I know, like, crazy glue, it'll stick no matter what. So I'm talking about when I say it was like a smear.
It does. I told you. My daughter
it
was
just
like,
a smear of like just long enough just to keep it on me, take a picture and pull it off. It was like no pain or nothing, wasn't no pulling no skin or nothing. But a lot of people thought I even had a surgery, or I used like a whole thing of crazy glue to get it up on. I'm like, no, I try to use the tape at first, but then it was looking weird that the tape was across it, and then I tried to put a tape on the back, and I'm like, what you do with the little pointy thing? I'm like, well, I cut the pointy thing off, So okay, but so I cut the little needle part off, and it's flat, and I just, okay, that's cool. And then one thing you said too about being strong and what you're capable of, and I always tell people, you just never know until you be put in those situations or whatever. Like, I never knew about any of these conditions because none of my family never had it. I think the most my family had was like high blood pressure. Like my grandma, as she get older now, she got a few little health issues, but for the most of the part of my life, like, my family always been healthy, never no issues. So you coming out telling me my son has tetralogy and it's for four heart defect. I mean, it's a 4-part defect that's mess with your heart. Then you try and give me the terminology, or the aorta or the pulmonary valve and all this. Just explain all this stuff to me. It was like in Spanish or something, or how I say, like, the cartoon when he be like wah 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 wah. I'm like, yeah, what are you talking about? Like, I don't understand
Charlie
nothing you're
Brown.
saying. I'm perfectly healthy. How do y'all not spot this sooner? Because a lot of stuff get overlooked. Like, one of my good friends, they didn't find out that she had a heart defect till she was 3 years old, and passed out on the playground. And she was saying, I was complaining to my mom that my heart, my heart, my heart. But as a little kid, you don't take you but so serious. Then you take her to a doctor. It's nothing but asthma. So they treated her for asthma, gave her a pump, and told her to be on our way till she actually like passed out. And then they like really did like a full body scan and found out she had a bunch of holes in her heart. And my coworker, he's 50 some years old. They didn't find out till he was 40 something, and he went in for a checkup, and they found out he had a heart defect. I'm like, man, he's like, yeah, all my life I always got tired and was always queasing and wheezing, but I'm heavy set, so I just chalked it up me just being fat. So, but these things, it can get misdiagnosed and overlooked. And I always tell parents, you're stronger than you are, but you never know until you get put in them situations. So again, everybody always ask me, how did I get through it? I'm like, I don't know, because the same issues y'all had, I had. I'm just because I'm a man don't mean I wasn't crying and stressed out and depressed and in a dark place and in a corner by myself, like what is going on? Like my only child, a boy at that, my baby, and y'all just cut him open until I can't even recognize him. Tubes all in his body. He's they had him sedated, in a sedated coma. He was on high risk of all type of disease and bacteria and everything or whatever, like, because they couldn't close his chest up when he first had his surgery, so his chest was wide open, but they put a covering over top of it. I could look down through the cover and see his heart beating, because of plastic. So I saw all that or whatever, and it's like it just freaks you on out, but had to be tough for him and to keep him going or whatever, because mom, she would just roughly ice cream, like melted ice cream, like I couldn't get her off the ground, so she beyond, yeah, yeah, so she was beyond stressed. I'm like, it can't be both
I
of us
know
in this
about
mug
that.
crying and stressed out. So I just had to be that rock. And then when I had my my alone time, that's when I questioned everything and did my research, and I started looking out into other communities, for us Facebook and Googling and YouTube and any type of social platform I could find that ask questions. And they kind of got me from under that rock and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah, that was cool that you reached out for like
yeah,
help with other people, um because sometimes, like, even just in special needs alone, like pretty much what you were saying before in your statement, like we always feel like we're alone and we don't have nobody else to talk to or nobody else understand what we're going through. um and like I shared in the story in the beginning of the podcast, like my son really felt like he was alone because nobody in school had a feeding tube. And then in our family, I was born premature too, but my mom said that I was like really sick in the hospital. And then from the day I came home from the hospital, like I had never been in the hospital again until I had him. So it was like nobody really was that sick, and that, like you were saying before, it's your family, like nobody was really like that sick. But when my son was born, he was taking like the same medications that my aunt was taking. Like he was taking water pills, and he had to take pills for his
right.
heart, and like not the actual pill, but and they was giving it to him through the IV. But it was just like weird, and like I would tell her the medicines he was taking, and she was like, "I take that," and I'm like, he take this, and she's like, "I take that too." They like they giving that baby all that medicine that he just gave. Like, and the funny thing was, when I was pregnant with him, I wouldn't drink any caffeine. I was like, I'm not drinking any caffeine. Just give me water or juice.
Oh.
In the NICU, they had to give him caffeine. I was like, why y'all give my baby caffeine? And like, cause his heart, we gotta make sure his heart stay a certain level. Like, we gotta make sure he stay, awake and all that stuff. I was like, wow. I was like, I just bypassed caffeine for 6 months, and y'all just giving it to them, and they just, they would laugh. But I was like, it's amazing, like some of the things that they have to do, for the children to thrive, and push
and it's
past, the things that they're going through when they're born
Yeah,
with,
and it's
the
good that
different
like you were
conditions and
saying, when
diseases.
your son saw somebody that had his condition or had a feeding tube, how it made him feel. It's like, oh man, like one of me. Like you actually understand, or I got like a good friend, and that's how when we see like people
Mm-hmm.
on TV, my son is like, yo, dad, look at that, look at that. He got a scar on his chest like me. I'm like, oh yeah, it might be on, a Grey's Anatomy or a ER show or something like that or whatever, or even just a commercial that is showing, or a kid got a G tube, and he just makes it feel like, oh, we won, like we got one of us on on TV or in the school and stuff like that. And the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with us. Like last year, we just had to sign what's it called, the 504. They actually gave him like get him a nurse 504 plan. He had to get him a nurse
Before.
inside of his school or whatever, but they're about to cancel our insurance on him too. I'm like, so we had to fight for you to say that you didn't have insurance and it took you a while to get it. They were about to like stop us completely. I'm like, hold on, he got long-term disability, he got this, he got that, like, he got his insurance. Like, why y'all cutting off his insurance? And all because of this, because of that. I'm like, oh no, 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 no. And we had to roughly jump through hoops and loops to get him activated, because they cut him off. And then we talked to like so many people, and then one person like, I don't know why he even cut off, because he got this, he got that. They should have just did this. But of course, it's one person that one insurance saying one thing, another one saying another. It was bad. Then we had to go through the 504 plan, and got him approved and stuff at his school for a nurse and stuff like that. And then just we did all that just for, we talked to another caseworker and like, oh no, I'm gonna take care of this. I got you. He's good to go, and you should have no issues about ever getting dropped again or whatever and stuff. I'm like, all right, man, don't play with me and mine.
Look, you gotta. That's why I named it Advocate for Me, because then you gotta go toe to toe with these people. Like, I went toe to toe with the he was receiving a disability check. They cut that off. I'm like, why? Like, when they cut it off finally,
Right.
when he was like 10, I was like, look, I'm tired of this fight. Like, I'll just make money, somewhere else. Like, because I was
Right.
working part time so that I could also be there for him. So I'm like, I was like, y'all take it. But it is a fight. Like, they, unfortunately, they do what they want to do. But when it's our kid, like, you're going to go toe to toe with me, and we're going to figure this out. And like, like certain medicines that he had to have, they would be like, oh, we don't cover that. Well, who's gonna pay for it? Like, I don't have the money. I'm part time because I'm taking care of him, and then now you're gonna tell me that I can't.
Yep.
I don't have the money to pay for it, so somebody gonna pay for it. And then just you find that one worker that be like you said, like, I don't even know why they ain't covered it. Like, well, go ahead. This can, he's eligible for this, or we can make sure that we provide you with services here. But yeah, with the nurse care, I really had to fight for that. Like, I think, between the separation and us moving, and, our life turned upside down. It was weird that they was like, oh, okay, yeah, she really needs it now. And I'm like, what? Like, I've been asking for nurse care,
Right.
overnight care for like 4 years. I said, it took my whole life to turn upside down for y'all to finally say, oh, yeah, she really needs it now. Because I'm depressed, and now I'm going to counseling like this. Like, I was like, when I was, going, my life was norm, y'all didn't see it. But now they're like, oh, yeah, she really needs it. And I'm like, I'm juggling 2 kids, working part-time, and taking care of him. I was like, I really wasn't getting any sleep. I'm like, y'all going to have to help me out here. And so they finally said yes.
Yeah,
Like I
because
said,
I
that first
remember
night I
like
slept
one of
like a
my
baby.
son's shots was like, even though he only took it once a year, it was like $1,000 just for the shot. And the insurance covered it. But I also remember
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to pull up to one of our
Mm-hmm.
caseworkers building, because they were playing with me too much. I'm like, you know what? My son mom, she normally take care of a lot of stuff. And when she called me telling me like she, upset or whatever, when she really don't, and I'm telling him like, if I don't make her upset, I'd be damn somebody else there. So she called me like, I'm fed up with him, they did, whatever, whatever. I'm like, you know what? I'll take care of
Mm-hmm.
it. I'll come with like a different set of eyes, different attitude, calm, collective. Hey, how you doing? And they would give me the run around, playing with me for like I said, you know what? I'll be up there. No, you have to. No, I'll be up there. Hung up, pulled up there. Yeah, they had the cops up there. They actually had to call the cops up there. It's crazy because where the building at, the 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 sheriff place right beside it. So they just had walk right on over. But I'm like, nah, I said I will flip this building upside down because
Oh,
y'all playing with me and mines or whatever. And this is like life or death type of stuff. Y'all taking these things away that he needs, and y'all saying, oh, it's okay because it's this and that. Nah, like, I'm not trying to have that. Like, who, like you said, who can help us out when we do need it? I don't got the money to pay for $1,000 shot that he needs, once, or these medicines that he need or whatever. And for y'all to be like,
mm-hmm.
oh, we're just gonna chalk it up, put it in the system, and yeah, no, sir. So yeah, they had to call the cops, and then another thing I was mad about, our caseworker, she left and she was gone for a whole. She retired like 6 months prior, and they were just giving us the runaround or whatever. I'm like, yo, y'all know this was gone, but y'all got a whole phone activated, voicemail, leaving voicemails and all that stuff like that. Oh, that was another thing. So yeah, it was a big scene when he was like 2 years old. So now our name kind of ring bells a little bit though, but I don't want to be for that. But I shouldn't have to, and I'm a calm person, but I shouldn't have to turn up for y'all and act ignorant or whatever just because y'all
Mhm,
not doing y'all job and stuff. So, but once I got it straightened out, our caseworker, she heard about us. She's
mhm.
like, it won't happen to her. I'm take care of it. All right, man. Like, as long as you know.
Yeah, they
Exactly.
make they make you put your gorilla suit on, like, and look, especially
Oh,
what's
John
that
Q.
movie
John
with
Q. Yeah,
Denzel with
yeah.
his son? Like he yeah, John Q. Yes, like they make you turn into John Q. real quick. I'm like, I'll be right back. They be like, oh no, it's okay. Like, let me.
Exactly.
You just got to sign this piece of paper right here, and we be all done. I'm like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
because I'm not playing. Like, this is my child you talking about. So you definitely like they make you go there. I
Right.
mean, I know they doing their job, but at the same time, this is my son's life. Like, and this is important, and I need you to do what you need to do in order to make sure that he gets what he needs. So definitely. So it's been a pleasure. So just share how our
Oh yeah, you
listeners
can
can
follow me on
contact
social
you and follow
media
you and
on
share.
Instagram, The Life of Chace Elijah, and Chace is spelled Chace. So The Life of Chace Elijah, or on Facebook, there's Facebook Chace Chace dot Elijah, and on YouTube as well, the same thing, The Life of Chace Elijah. And again, I vlog his life from birth to any and everything he's been into, from like I said, from commercials to TV shows to movies to just him being around the house getting on my nerves, So we make all type of fun videos and skits because I always tell people when you come to our platform, I want you to come with a relief of knowing that you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you can come there with a purpose of you smiling and being happy and laughing, because I always post a bunch of stuff on my page where my son was down and out, and he was swollen up and he went through all these things or whatever. But that's just like another other person page. You'll want to be more stressed out. You want to see something like, oh, okay, if I keep going at this time, my son could be this and that. And
Mm-hmm.
you could always be like a gold Olympic medalist like Shaun White. He's an awesome guy. Or Jeff Green, a basketball player and stuff like that. So Greg Owens, he's a football player as well, but his child has a congenital heart defect. Or even Jimmy Kimmel, his son has congenital heart defect. So again, it doesn't have a particular person, age, group, color that it affects. It affects any and everybody. And so, like I said, I just have a platform where people will come to just, highlight the good things that's in a bad situation. So yeah, but you can follow me on anything, The Life of Chace Elijah. And like I say, our goal is just to let people know that they're not in a fight alone. You always have a community out there, no matter what you're going through. If you're homeless, you have a community that will help you out with your you being homeless. You in AA meetings, you got that community to help you out with any type of situation that you're in, from physical or mental abuse and stuff like that. You have that community out there, even health related community to help me out, get me out of the dark place. So again, like that's our motto. You're never in a fight alone, and that's what I want people to know when they come to our page. Like any resource I can share, I always let people know this is how I got health insurance, or I know somebody went in the same situation, so I just pass on information. That just helps and put a smile on everybody's face. When they want to have our own foundation and stuff like that. But until then, you can also like support us by donating to our good friend Jessica Connor. She's a part of Outshine Label. She got a great platform. We partner with her to actually like sell our merch and stuff like that to not only help us financially, but also financially support some of our projects so we could give back to other communities and other children hospitals and stuff like that, so other people can benefit as well and stuff like that. So again, it is Jessica Connor at outshinelabel.com. You go up on there, you can see our marketplace, purchase some of our merch. We got any and everything on there. And our saying is I love you with all of my fixed heart, because that's what my son said to me. That's how much he loved me. He loved me with all of his fixed heart after multiple heart surgeries and stuff like that. So I thought it'd just be awesome and wonderful to put on a shirt to let other people know how much, your loved ones love you or your kid love you. So it's a great saying. It's a great meaning. And again, like I said, it's outshinelabels.com. Good friend Jessica Connor. So I appreciate all the support with that. And again, like I said, it just financing us on top of other projects that we could give back to the community, other people, shine a little bit more light on their conditions and stuff. So thank you again for that.
Absolutely, because that's what, like you were saying, like there's a community pretty much for
Right.
everything. So, and if you don't see it, then create it, and that's definitely what both of us have done is we created it and making sure that we are getting the word out there and sharing the awareness with the community. So it's definitely been a pleasure. Um, so now I could put a voice with the picture now with this. When I see you guys on Instagram, but definitely when Jordan's book come out, we definitely gonna send you guys one autograph, so that we can share our stories together. And it has been a pleasure. So maybe in the future, maybe one day we could, have our boys take a picture and say that they warriors and survivors of these G2s, and they gonna
Right.
be like 6'10" and hovering over us, and like and my son almost 5 feet down. He just keeps saying I'm 5'4", so he just keep looking at me like I'm almost there, mom, because he takes a growth hormone injection also. So he's like, "Yeah, mom, I'm coming." I'm like, "All right, whenever you get here, you still got
Right.
to deal with me. I don't care if you hovering over me or not." So yeah, definitely. One day we go all link up and make sure that we take that picture together, that they
No
survived
problem.
and that they're warriors together and that they're not alone. So thank you again for coming on tonight. Um, so, to our listeners, we have some exciting news. So, I know in the previous podcast, I was sharing that I was looking for a location to have an after school program for children with special needs. So, we have signed our lease here in West Philadelphia. So, we are so excited. With COVID, the COVID restrictions is holding us back a little, but I'm going to move forward and make sure I'll be able to furnish the facility. It's not a big one, but it's somewhere where we can start at and call home for right now. So definitely follow us on Facebook, Advocate for Me. Um, I think it's facebook.com/advocate for me, the number 2. You can also follow me on my personal page, Levon McMillan on Facebook. On Instagram, it's advocate for me _L McMillan. And we have a Twitter page, y'all. I don't know, it's new, so just I don't have too many followers on there, but it is under Levon McMillan. And when you pull it up, it'll come up under Advocate for Me. You'll see the logo. And we are excited. We're moving forward. I believe we have one more episode coming up with Thomasina and Tyre's Village. And then that will be a wrap for our 2020. And we will be looking for our guests for 2021. So if anyone would like to come on and share their story um, of, or resource information, or if you're an attorney, or if you're autism community, special needs community, anyone who want to come on, please definitely reach out to me on those social media platforms so that we can share your story and make sure that you are heard, and then make sure we're telling the world that you're not alone. So thank you for listening to our podcast today, and have an awesome, 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 amazing holiday season, and we'll see you in 2021. Thank you.